What's up, everybody? NFL playoffs are finally here. We got Seattle plus 9.5 in San Fran to face the Niners. 9.5 point home favorites. Over under set at 42 on this one. San Fran 21 to 13 winners on December 15th. San Fran won 27-7 on September 18th. Those are the two times these two played this year. Seattle are 15-7-1 against spread their last 23 meetings versus San Fran. Seahawks are 11-7 against spread their last 1-7 against the spread. Their last 8 games overall. Seattle, I made the mistake of writing in green pen, and it's a little tricky to fucking read under this lighting. Just on this one game, though, so I apologize if I slop this one a little bit off the start. Seattle are 13-7 against spread versus the Niners. Hawks are 15-4 straight up versus San Fran. Seattle are 7-3 straight up their last 10 in San Francisco. Seahawks are 4-1 straight up their last 5 games versus the NFC West. Total's gone under in 4 of Seattle's last 5 games. Total's gone over in 5 of Seattle's last 7 games on the road. San Fran are 7-1 against spread their last 8 overall. Niners have won 10 straight. Purdy has won 5 games. He might have won 6 in a row, but he started and won 5 games in a row. I believe the 6th win for Purdy was when he actually came in for Jimmy G, if I'm remembering correctly. I apologize if it has been 6 and I'm off by 1 on that, but I believe I'm right on those numbers. San Fran are 5-0 against spread their last 5 games at home. Niners have won 6 in a row versus the NFC West. The total's gone over in 4 of Niners' last 5 games when they've been favored. 5 of San Fran's last 6 games have gone over the total. Going into week 18, Niners only played 2 games versus teams with winning records. They beat the Chargers and lost to Kansas City. Take that with a grain of salt for all the Niners hype that's been going around. Don't get me wrong, they are the much better team because that defense is ferocious. Seattle surrendered 160 plus rush yards 8 times this year. Kittle has 7 receiving TDs in the last 4 games. Obviously, he's been an outlet for Purdy, a real safety net, safety valve for him in the pocket. So look out for some George Kittle props, maybe an anytime TD in this game. Seattle corner Tariq Woolen led league with 6 interceptions this year. Watch out for that to be a factor with the rookie QB in his first playoff game. Niners pass rush, that will be the difference in this game. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Kenneth Walker. The third, they all had over 1,000 plus yards on the season this year for Seattle. So will the Niners defense be able to pressure and not let Geno Smith really do anything in the pocket like they did in the first 2 meetings this year? It's hard to beat a team, especially a divisional rival, 3 times in 1 year. I'm definitely taking Seattle plus 9.5. I think San Fran should win this game. I'm going to put a good bet on, a normal bet on San Fran to win the game. But I am playing Seattle on the upset. I will make a play on Seattle on the money line as well as on the spread. But my pick is San Fran to win this one like 24-21, something like that. I think this is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. And Seattle could even pull off an upset with like a low-scoring 17-14 win, 2017 win Seattle, something like that. I don't know. Good luck controlling all of them guys with San Fran's defense. I want to see them up against the team. Obviously, they played Seattle twice, so we will see. Next up on my list, I have the LA Chargers, 2.5 point road favorites in Jacksonville to face the Jags. Over under 47.5 on this one. Jacksonville won 38-10 September 25th, but there was no Keenan Allen. Herbert was playing in a flat jacket to protect his rib injury. I believe it was a rib injury at the time. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was hurt wearing a flat jacket. 3 or 4 of the key defensive players for the Chargers, I almost called them San Diego, were out that game as well. I don't think that was a fair barometer. A lot of people are all on the Jacksonville hype train lately, all on Doug Peterson. Everybody know I got nothing but love and respect for Doug Peterson, because this is what he brought to my favorite team. So, what can I say? I'm not going to knock Doug Peterson in any way. Chargers are 5-0 against spread in Jacksonville. LA are 9-1 against spread their last 10 versus the Jags, and 8-2 straight up their last 10 versus Jacksonville. Favorite is 8-3 against the spread the last 11 meetings. Chargers are 4-0-1 against spread their last 5 overall and 4-1 straight up. LA are 7-2 against spread their last 9 games on the road. Jags are 4-1 against spread and 5-0 straight up in their last 5 overall. 6 of the last 7 meetings have gone over the total. Jacksonville are 4-1 straight up their last 5 games at home. Lawrence, 15 TDs and 2 interceptions in his last 9 games. Incredible numbers for the kid. Maybe he is turning around. I'm not a big believer in him or this Jaguars team. Haven't been all year. Cowboys are the only team with a winning record that the Jags played during their win streak. The only team they played, the only team they played with a winning record was the Dallas Cowboys in that 9-game stretch. No team in the AFC lost more stars to injury than the LA Chargers did this year. Jags pass rush is pretty non-existent. Doesn't bode well. I know Mike Williams is out now with that back injury, and he won't be back for at least a couple weeks. AFC Championship game at the earliest if the Chargers can make it that far. I don't think they can. I think they can beat the Jags, but I don't think they'll make it that far. Chargers are mainly healthy outside of Williams for the first time this year. Austin Eckler, he led the NFL in touchdowns this year. I just trust Herbert a lot more than I would ever trust Trevor Lawrence. I like the weapons that the Chargers have on offense just as good or better. Without Mike Williams, it might be a wash on offense. You got Eckler, ETN. I think both of them will be factors in this one. I don't know. I just think the Chargers are a better team. I think they win this game. I think they have the better quarterback. I like the Chargers to win this 27-21, 30-24. Maybe it's a closer one, like a 27-24 or something like that. Maybe it gets to 3, but I think the Chargers win this by at least a field goal, and that is it with that game. Next one, I'm talking about Miami Dolphins, plus 13.5. When I wrote this down, this number keeps on flying and changing. I got in on the Bills early in the week. I forget what the number was, but it was only like 7 or 8 or 8 or 9 or something like that. I know it was low. I have to double check my bets that are unsettled on Bet365 and FanDuel. Those are the 2 sports books I use on a pretty daily basis. I'm using one or the other on a daily basis, and quite often I'm using both of them. I'm at least checking them, and the reason why I'll use one instead of the other is because quite often I like multiple sports books. I'm looking for a third to get involved with as well, because you can get better value. The numbers are not always the same book by book. Look for the best value. There's a whole bunch of different apps and tools out there that you can use to find the best EVOAs, etc. out there and whatnot. So look out for different spreads and lines at different books. All right, Buffalo, 13.5 point home favorites, over under 43.5 on this one. Hamlin out of the hospital. He could be at this game. I think this is going to be a huge emotional rush for the Bills, and it is going to be the most important job on game day, I think, in Buffalo is going to be McVay keeping the emotions under check for the Bills so that they don't blow this or do something stupid or get careless because their emotions are getting the best of them, instead of just being themselves and playing like the better team they are and absolutely blowing out the Dolphins. That's the only thing that scares me about. Well, I hate double-digit spreads anyways, regardless of the team, how good or bad they are. Quite often, I'll fade the dog on them 95% of the time. I might not on this one, though. Buffalo 32-29 December 17th and 21-19 Miami won on September 25th. These two teams split the series over 7-1 last 8 meetings in Buffalo. The underdogs 4-1-1 against spread. Dolphins are 3-7-1 against spread in Buffalo. The overs 11-5 the last 16 meetings. Miami are 1-8 straight up versus Buffalo. Dolphins have lost 6 straight in Buffalo. Miami are 6-1 against spread versus the AFC East. Bills have won 7 games in a row. 11 of the last 16 meetings have gone over the number. Like I mentioned earlier, Damar Hamlin released. What a story that is. Oh, man. Prayers go out to you, Hamlin. Like, fabulous, fantastic news. I hope everything goes positive for you moving forward. You and your family. I can't imagine the grief your immediate family has gone through. So bless for all of that and prayers going forward. Bills need to clean up their turnovers. Second worst in the league, second most in the league, or whatever. 27 turnovers this year. That's unacceptable. That's how you let bad teams stay in games late. That's how you chance losing in the fourth quarter when you're turning the ball over, not getting away from a team, letting a team stay close and have that final drive because of said turnovers. So that's going to be something to watch for the Bills. Skylar Thompson most likely starting at QB, though. If it's Teddy Bridgewater, I'm going to take Miami on the spread. If it's Skylar Thompson, I just don't see Miami score more than 10 points, and I don't see Miami keeping Buffalo under 24. So right there is your 13.5 spread. So I'm leaning, if Bridgewater plays, I've already got a play on Buffalo, like I said, at a much lower number, just under that 10 at the start of the week when the lines first came out on Sunday or Monday morning, whenever it was. I forget. I work a lot of late nights, so the time of day kind of confused me. I like Buffalo on this, something like 30-17, 28-10, 30-7. Like, I think this could get ugly depending on who's at quarterback for Miami. I lean Buffalo. I'm probably just going to stay right away from that game outside of that play I got in at a good number earlier this week. Next up, New York Giants +3 at Minnesota. 3-point home favorites are the Vikings. Over under set at 48 on this one. Vikings 27-24, December 24th. Fave is 6-1 against the spread. Road teams 9-4 against the spread. G-men are 6-1 against spread, their last 7 overall. Oh, and about that 3-point win, that came on an over 60-yard field goal. I forget whether it was 61, 63, whatever it was yards. There's been 18 field goal attempts of over 60 yards made in the last 20 years or something like that, 18, 20 years. And teams are 2-15 in those field goal attempts, and those are fourth quarter end of game where they can change the lead or win the game for a team. These attempts I'm talking about of over 60 yards. And 2-15 against all teams. The Giants, it's happened to 3 times. 3 for 3 teams are against the Giants at nailing those last minute 60+ yard field goals. Just some bad luck. Both these teams, the Giants had 8 of their 9 wins this year were by 1 score or less, 8 points or less. Vikings, they won all 11 of their games that were within 1 score or less. They were 11-0 in such games, decided by 1 score or less, I should say. G-men are 6-1 against spread, their last 7 overall. Giants are 2-8 straight up in Minnesota. New York are 7-1 against spread on the road. Giants are 0-5 straight up in Minnesota. New York are 2-8 straight up versus the NFC North. Vikings are 1-4 against spread, their last 5 overall. 6 of Minnie's last 7 games have gone over the total. Vikings are 9-1 straight up at home. Minnesota are 0-5-1 against spread versus the NFC East. Giants only win versus team with winning record this year was versus the Ravens at the start of the season. So once again, that doesn't bode well for the G-men. They have only 1 victory over a team with a winning record. And like I said, 8 of their 9 wins were by 1 score, and those were against non-playoff teams. So take that into account. I love Minnesota in this game. I think Minnesota is going to win. I think Minnesota is going to win by more than a touchdown in this game. I think that it could come down to a last-minute field goal. It could be 21-20, but that's not where my money's going. I'm betting Minnesota on the spread. I'm betting Minnesota on the money line. I think that's 28-24 at the closest, 30-23, 28-20, something like that, 27-17. Those are sort of the numbers I like. Minnesota wins this game. They are the better team, and I don't see the Giants coming back. Minnesota jumps out to a lead. Baltimore Ravens, 9.5-point dogs in Cincy to face the Bengals, everybody's favorite team right now. Over under, well, them and the Niners. Over under set at 40.5 in this one. Cincinnati, 27-16, January 8th. 19-17 on October 9th. That game on January 8th, the last game of the season. Baltimore played nobody. They sat everybody. All their starters. Lamar's obviously out. They sat Huntley, their backup quarterback, hoping he could be ready for today. It sounds like he might be able to go. He was practicing this week a little bit. Dobbins is in there. Gus Edwards, who hasn't played recently, he's going to be in the lineup for the Ravens. Ravens are 0-3-1 against spread versus Cincy. Overs 4-1 the last 5 meetings in Cincinnati. Road team 6-2-1 against spread the last 9 meetings. 5 of the last 6 Ravens games have gone under the number. Baltimore are 6-3 straight up versus the Bengals. Ravens are 6-3 against spread on the road. Baltimore are 2-6 against spread versus the AFC North. Cincinnati are 7-1 against spread their last 8 games overall. Cincy have won 6 in a row at home and 8 straight overall. Bengals are 8-4 against spread versus the AFC North. Ravens sat their starters last week, like I mentioned. The Ravens D, though, they can hold the Bengals to 20 points or less in this game. But if Huntley's not playing, I don't think Baltimore can score more than 14 points. Hell, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to score more than 15 points with Tyler Huntley. But I think he can put at least 2 touchdowns on the board, maybe drive in for a couple field goals, maybe reach that 20 mark. And that Baltimore D, they're built to hold Cincy. They're top 3 against the run. Their third down defense is in the top 5. A lot of good stats against the run Baltimore has. I can't remember them all. Bengals O-line is always an issue, especially if the Ravens can attack the left side of that line, which I believe is beat up the most, if memory serves me right. I didn't write none of that shit down, so I don't know. I mainly just write stats down so I don't fuck up stats or players' names. That's all I really care about when I do my notes. The rest, I just try to sort of remember, go by what I've seen, read, heard, etc., because I am all over everything in that way. They can definitely eliminate the Bengals' rush attack. And if the Bengals don't run, the Bengals are most effective when they're balanced, when they're getting Mixon involved, and then that play action comes into effect, where they can hit the T. Higgins and the Jamar Chases, etc. And that's where this offense really explodes. And if the Bengals don't get established their run game, I think Baltimore's primed to pull off an upset if Huntley plays. And I am picking Baltimore as my upset of the weekend. Right here, Baltimore money line, Baltimore on the spread. That is my pick, and this total to go under the number. I think it's like a 2017 game or something like that. So Baltimore, Seattle are the 2 underdogs I am putting money on this week. Baltimore I really like in this game. If Huntley goes, Gus Edwards, etc., they get that ground and pound going. I love that. Those are my 2 dogs. The rest I'm pretty much on the favorites. Like I said, I might put something on Miami if Bridgewater starts at QB, because that's almost 2 touchdowns. I don't know. I think Bridgewater could keep that within 10. He is a cover machine before he went to Miami, so we'll see if that holds up. I know it hasn't been so much with Miami, though, this year. Dallas, 2.5-point favorites in Tampa to face the Bucks. Bucks won 19-3 September 11th. Over under 45.5 on this one. Road team, this is the Monday Nighter. Road team's 4-0 against spread. Under 6-1 the last 7 meetings. Underdogs 5-1 against spread. Dallas are 1-5 against spread versus the Bucks. 5 of Dallas's last 7 games have gone over the number. Cowboys are 14-6 straight up versus Tampa Bay. Dallas are 12-5 against spread their last 17 games on the road. Tampa are 1-6 against spread their last 7 overall. Bucks are 4-1 straight up at home. 6 of last 7 meetings have gone under the number. I believe Brady's 7-0 against Dak Prescott or the Cowboys. Prescott's never won against Tampa Bay. Too many injuries, incompetence, inconsistency have plagued Tampa Bay all season long. I just don't know what'll happen. Brady's got Mike Evans back, that he's stationary quarterback. Micah Parsons and the boys on Dallas's D should be able to get after him and force some early throws, some turnovers in this one. Prescott, speaking of turnovers, though, he's tossed 11 interceptions in his last 7 games, leads the league in INTs, or is tied for the league lead in INTs this year. The Bucks O-line and Brady, like I said, I think that's the difference in this game. I think Dallas gets after it. Let's see. Van Der Esch is back. Jonathan Hankins is returning for Dallas. 4 of their 5 losses this year were on the road, though. Cowboys' last 3 playoff wins on the road. This is the last 3 times Dallas won a road playoff game. 1992, 1991, and 1980. Those are the last 3 road playoff games the Cowboys have won. 1980, 91, and 92. It's been a long fucking time, Dallas. Bucks minus 45-point differential is worst among all playoff teams this year. whichever team you think will win. I am on Dallas to win this. I think Dallas wins big. I think Dallas gets revenge. I think Prescott finally beats Tom Brady, and the Dallas Cowboys finally beat Tom Brady. I think they put them to sleep. I think they win this game like 27-17. I like them to win by a touchdown, 10 points, somewhere around there. Now on to this. Whichever team you guys think is going to win the Super Bowl, put a little play on their star player. Like if you're like me and think the Eagles will win, like I got money on a couple right now. I got money on Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts to win Super Bowl MVP. And then if you think it's going to be San Fran, you might want to sprinkle a little something on the defensive side of the ball, maybe a Bosa play, maybe a Christian McCaffrey or a Debo on the offensive side. But look out for your MVP players and the teams you like to win the Super Bowl. I make a play on 2 or 3 every year. I try to do maybe 2 from each conference, like Buffalo, KC are my picks. In the AFC this year, I don't think people are going to top them. And I like Philly and San Fran in the NFC this year, but I don't like San Fran's MVP candidates, and I don't think Purdy will ever win MVP. Even if San Fran does win the Super Bowl, that'll be 1,000% their defense, or 999.9% their defense, and the other 0.001 will be on Purdy and the offense. So that's just a little thing that I like to say going forward. Like if you think the Chargers could make it all the way, Justin Herbert, a good play. Like whoever you think is going to make it, maybe like a Trevor Lawrence if you think the Jags are actually legit. A Joe Burrow if you're a Bengals fan. Like you get my point, but don't just pick your favorite. Also pick a realistic one that could go with it as well, if you like. That's all up to you. Anyways, that's it for my wildcard rounds. We'll see you next week for the divisional round. Good luck with all your bets. And remember, I give you the stats, information, and who I like. Bet who you like. Trust your gut, man. I trust my gut more than I do the stats sometimes. And look, when there's a lot of streaks or a real long streak, long win streaks, long losing streaks versus teams all together, whatever, you got to find that point when it's going to end, because all streaks end. So you got to start looking at flipping that script some point, which is why I'm flipping the script maybe with that Baltimore, maybe with that Seattle. I don't know. There's a couple things that could flip. Kirk Cousins, he is going to get the job done. Vikings will win. Cowboys will win. They seem to be the 2 most picked on teams so far. Baltimore is going to pull off the upset. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. I'll see you guys in Philadelphia in February. I'm going to be coming to your city. Peace.